Welcome to Idea to IPO. My name is Rob. I organize Idea to IPO. We've been holding events in Silicon Valley for many, many years. We launched officially on February 1st, 2010. At that time, we had no members and no events on our calendar. At this stage, we have over 1 million members among all our meetup groups all around the world. We've organized, promoted, and produced over 5,500 events. By any standard, by any measure, we're the most active, most prolific startup event organization in the history of Silicon Valley, bar none. Thank you. Thank you for all your support. We organize venture capital panels, legal workshops, networking events, and more. We hold events every day of the week, online and offline. Check out our schedule at ideatoipo.com. Our mission is to promote entrepreneurship, support entrepreneurs, build community, and provide value in the Silicon Valley startup ecosystem. To that end, we provide content that is practical, actionable, and relevant. Stuff you can actually use to succeed as entrepreneurs. We believe in building community because Silicon Valley is a global aspirational ecosystem. It attracts people from all over the world who come here to do great things. Who here is not originally from Silicon Valley or the greater San Francisco Bay Area? Who here was born and raised in Silicon Valley or the greater San Francisco Bay Area? All four of you. Well, welcome, natives. Who was born and raised in Palo Alto? Zach. Well, let's hear it for Zach, for Palo Alto native. So whether you're born and raised here or just arrived last night, it's important for us to provide multiple channels for you to meet people, build relationships, and grow your network. With regard to value, it's important that we provide value at each and every one of our events. Not just value for your money, which is important though, because we know many entrepreneurs are struggling financially. So we make sure our events are free or affordable. And if one of our events has a cover charge and you cannot afford the cover charge for whatever reason, come talk to me. We can work something out. And at most of our in-person speaker events, we make sure that we provide a delicious buffet. Is that a delicious buffet? Is that a delicious buffet? I want to thank Snell and Wilmer for sponsoring that delicious buffet. So let's hear it for Snell and Wilmer. More importantly, at each and every one of our events, we want to make sure that we provide value for your time, which is your most valuable resource. Anyone here getting any younger? Besides that young lady and that young man? When you invest your valuable time to come to our events, we want to make sure that you maximize your ROI. We have many partners that help us do what we do: law firms, venture capital firms, angel investor groups, incubators, accelerators, colleges, universities, and lots of other players in the Silicon Valley startup ecosystem. Tonight, we're grateful to Snell and Wilmer for hosting us once again at this beautiful venue. Is this a beautiful venue? So let's hear it for Snell and Wilmer. Roger, would you like to say a few words? A few?
How you all doing tonight? No, seriously, the panel's more excited to be here than you are. How you all doing tonight? Well, welcome everybody. So great to have you here. Just to pay for dinner, I'll say a few words about Snell. Our firm was founded in 1934, and no, I was not a founder. Someone asked me if I was the founder of the firm. Obviously, I didn't age well at all. But 600 lawyers, 18 offices around the country. I head up the Emerging Growth and Venture Capital Practice Group, so I deal with companies from initial formation all the way through the life cycle. Currently working on 2 big financings and 2 exits, so it's sort of both ends of the spectrum. Happy days for founders in each case. We have about 40 different practice groups, most important to my clients, startup clients, IP, and labor and employment. Hopefully we never need them, but often we do. So welcome once again, and looking forward to a great panel.
Some of our other partners are here tonight. I would also like to have them say a few words. Let's hear it for Yana in New York Life. Applause.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's so nice to meet you all. My name is Yana, and I am with New York Life, financial professional who helps individuals, families, companies, startups with financial planning and retirement strategies. If you have family, partners, or if you are getting funded by the venture capital tonight, you do need to see me. So my table is over there. Please come and fill our prize for tonight. We have great prizes for tonight, so please fill out the form and stay all the way and have fun. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Jessica and Creative Jolie AI. Applause.
Hi, I'm Jessica Tan. I'm with Creative Jolie AI. We help founders grow faster with smart funnels, CRM automation, social media content creation, digital branding. If you want to go faster and scale with automation, come see me. I'm right there. Thank you.
Next up, we have Melissa from Atadon. Applause.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Melissa. I'm with Tidan back there. We got a really cool raffle going on, so if you haven't filled that out, make sure you do that. Cool prizes. So we do help for projects, AI, cloud migration, digital transformation. We have like rockstar engineers and all that. So we're really looking for some contacts in Google that need some help. So if you have some friends in Google that you can introduce me to that need some help, we do have a referral bonus program for that. So come talk to me about that. Thanks, guys.
Next up, we have Johanna and Enviri. Applause.
Good evening, everyone. How many of you enjoy going to live music concerts? Maybe go see Coldplay or other similar artists, or go to TechCrunch conference next week. These are the live events, and my name is Johanna. I'm a former event planner turned founder after learning that live events account for 10% of carbon emissions globally. That's about all emissions of the nation of US. That's how much live events consume. Most of these emissions are not visible. And what we're doing with Envire, we work with the greatest live event venues like Super Bowl arenas, big convention centers. We automate their sustainability tracking. We are now live at our Oregon Convention Center and preparing for next year with some big bangs. So come see a demo at the back and pick sustainable venues. And thank you, Rob, for also supporting the sustainability initiatives of the Idea to IPO events.
Well, when it comes to sustainability, like many things in life, it's easy to talk the talk. It's harder to walk the walk. And like in life, sometimes you have to do what you got to do. So we have reusable plates, utensils, napkins, cups, and someone has to wash them. So I want to thank Johanna. She'll be spending 10 hours tomorrow washing those dishes. And I want to thank Snell and Wilmer for allowing us to use their dishwashing machine upstairs. So let's hear it for Snell and Wilmer. Let's hear it for Johanna. But let me expand on that. So I can't control what 8 billion people do. I can't control what Fortune 500 companies do. I can't control what the government does. I can't control what everybody in this room does. But I can control what I can do, my actions and my choices and my thoughts. So I do what I can do, and I ask that everyone else does what they can do, and together we can make an impact. I'm not perfect. Maybe I'm getting there, but all I can do is try my best, and I ask everybody to do the same. So though our local mission is to support entrepreneurs here in Silicon Valley, our global mission is to democratize entrepreneurship and innovation all around the world. To that end, we maintain a robust YouTube channel. Yes, this will be videotaped. YouTube.com/idea to IPO. Check it out. We have tons of videos there. And this rich, valuable content is available on demand, anytime, anywhere, totally free of charge. Our partner in this endeavor is Michael Payne, one of the top professional videographers in Silicon Valley. Let's hear from Michael. Applause.
Thank you. As a videographer, I'll edit this down for you. I help companies and individuals tell their stories. We're all here to learn something, or maybe get some kind of an edge, or maybe the free food. Video helps you scale your messages, and it elevates your brand. And who wouldn't want that? If you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. Wait, do you?
So let's see who's in the room. Who is an early stage entrepreneur? What's the difference between a pizza and an early stage entrepreneur? A pizza can feed a family of 4. Who is an investor? Who's an enterprise employee? Who's a government employee? Who's a former government employee? Right. Who's an academic or a student? Who's a journalist or a media person? Who's here for the delicious buffet? Well, thank you for coming. So here's the schedule for the rest of the evening. Our panel will hold a brilliant, compelling, dynamic, entertaining, and scintillating discussion, right? At 8 o'clock, we'll open it up to questions from the audience. That'll take us to 8:30 p.m. We'll have our raffle drawing. We have some awesome prizes, including conference tickets, Visa gift cards, Seeds candy, and more. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to our distinguished moderator, Roger Rappaport, partner at Snell and Wilmer. So let's give it up for Roger and our panel. Applause.
All righty. Thanks, Rob. Well, we have quite an incredible panel tonight. What I'd like to do is maybe we could just start going down the line. Melody, we'll start with you. Maybe you could tell us a little about your background, tell us a little about the fund, check size, whether you lead or follow, and stage that you invest. So Melody Poe, partner at Digital DX Ventures.
Great, thank you. So Melody Poe, I was born in Hong Kong and lived all over the world. So now I'm in Silicon Valley. I've been here for 18 years now. My career started as a lab rat at a biopharmaceutical company, and then that was like 25 years ago. I did that a couple of times. Both of them had great exits. Then I moved on to become an investor and ultimately an LP. And then we looked at not just mutual funds, stocks, and bonds, but we also looked at private equity and venture. And then a few years ago, I stepped into the venture world. And now with my healthcare bent, it's sort of full circle. I've also been an operator and an investor, as I had mentioned, fundraiser as well. So still trying to figure out all kinds of hats to potentially wear. On the side, I'm also a co-announcer of a swim team during the summer, so I have a lot of different hobbies. So Digital DX invests in early-stage healthcare AI companies that make products that help doctors make better decisions, so more accurate, least expensive, least invasive. We are currently in Fund 2, and we write check sizes of initially 100,000 to 250,000. We follow on with about 40% of the companies with our reserves, and we like to invest in pre-seed, seed, and ultimately Series A.
Great, thanks a lot. Gopi Rangan, founder and GP at Sure Ventures.
Thank you, and thank you, Rob, for organizing this event. This is one of the most valuable things that the founder communities can rely on. It's been going on for so many years. I've been a speaker quite a few times, and I've really enjoyed it. And thanks to Rob and team for putting this together, and thanks to all the sponsors. I'm Gopi Rangan. I'm the founding partner at Sure Ventures. I grew up in India. Very early days in my as a child, I got fascinated with technology. So I'm living my dream life right now. Silicon Valley's paradise. Most of us are not from here. We all came here. We made a home here, and we are following our dreams. And I cannot say that any other part of the world can facilitate that for all kinds of people from all over the world to come here and pursue their dreams. So thanks to the entire community for creating this opportunity for us to live our best lives. So I've having done that, having come to Silicon Valley, I've lived here for like 20, 30 years. And I started my own firm about 7 years ago. And I mainly invest in pre-seed, seed stage startups. I invest with a mission to enable peace of mind. Companies that build better safety net, financial safety nets, and other kinds of safety nets for individuals and businesses, or companies that build infrastructure for industries like insurance, banking, and other financial services sectors, and supply chain, healthcare, and other areas as well. So those are the kind of companies I invest in. So far, I've invested in 30 companies over the past few years. They're all over the country, and being here in Silicon Valley, I have a very strong preference for Silicon Valley companies. About 30-40% of the companies are based in Silicon Valley. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I see a long list of questions. I'm really excited.
What about check size? What's your average check size?
I typically do $500,000 to $1 million, and I roughly invest at a pace of one deal per quarter.
Okay. And do you follow on as well?
Yes, I do.
Great. Excellent. Next up is Zoe Samuel, venture partner at Starshot Capital.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks so much for having me. So I came to venture by a very strange path. So for anyone who has ever wondered if a pivot is possible, I used to be in the entertainment industry. I wrote jokes for a living. I produced film and theatre. And then Google recruited me to work on what is now Gemini. And then as a side project there, I got into climate stuff. And then my side project became a 4,500 person group across the whole of Google doing various climate projects. They made it my full-time job, and then they laid me off. And I highly recommend if you ever have to be laid off, get laid off by Google, because they're really nice about it. So then I moved into climate investing. So here I am at Starshot, where we are on our first fund. We've done 14 investments so far, primarily focused on 3 climate verticals. That's the built environment, industry, and agriculture and food systems. The reason for that being that these are the most underinvested relative to both the financial and the climate potential. And our typical check size is 500 to 1.5. I second what Gopi said. What an amazing privilege it is. I was coming across the bay to get here towards the sunset, and I just thought, not only is it full of all these wonderful people, but it's just physically such a wonderful place.
And Zoe, do you guys follow, lead?
Yes, we do pre-seed through Series A, and we will also follow or lead, and we also follow on.
Excellent, great. Next up is Paul Russo, Chairman and CEO of K2X Technology and Life Sciences.
Thank you, Rob. So I'm not going to go through my whole life because that would take us all night. I'm going to cut to the chase. So I've been on both sides of the fence. I've started 3 semiconductor companies, and 8 years ago I started my first investment entity. And we're a fund, but we're not a VC, and I'll say more about that in a second. So my goal when I started being a chip company CEO was you got billions of people that have either no way to invest in startups or they're being screwed by them. So I said, let's create a safe vehicle for the world to invest in startups. So of course, all my angel friends laughed at me, said, sure. But after 8 years, I can tell you we've succeeded. The key elements are very interesting. We invest in anything, anywhere in the world. We're global. We do not lead. Everything has to have a lead investor that we trust. And then we do our secondary due diligence with 100+ advisors. But each one that makes a decision in our investment, each advisor must be a stakeholder and investor in our entity. And after 8 years, we proved the model, and now we're going public on the New York Exchange. So the proverbial kid in Africa can buy 5 shares and own pieces of hundreds of thoroughly vetted global startups. So what the bankers are amazed by is our model. Most startup funds, by the time they get to year 7 or 8, have written off 60-70%. We've only written off 15% in 8 years. Our returns are a steady 20-25% appreciation, dividends from exits, and now we have bankers in place to list in New York, likely in the first quarter.
Congrats, Paul.
Okay, a very good question, because it's going to be quite different forward. So to prove the model, because it's really a statistical model, Unlike VCs, we don't get involved with boards or anything else or management. We have one call a quarter with the CEO after mark to market. So to prove the model the past 8 years, we kept our investments roughly 100K, but we made 200 investments. And that's where the statistics starts making sense. Going forward, after our 50 million New York listing, we're going to go up to 5 million because now we know the model works. I mean,
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So next up is Preetha Ram, Managing Partner at Piers 70 Ventures. Take it away, Preetha.
So my journey, my path here was through science. I was never a lab rat. I don't know what you're talking about, Melody, but that wasn't me. But I did do a PhD at Yale in biochemistry, and having done that, faculty, it was the dean for science at Emory University, and over there is where I saw a problem that needed to be fixed, and it was a problem in my classroom with my students. And so I did what people who solve problems do a startup. So I did a startup, had to leave Emory, to take this to the next step, came to the Valley, took it to an exit. And then I saw another problem, and in the Valley, then perhaps now there are conversations that many women founders, particularly if they're not technologists, are not invited to. So it was a big thing. So I said, I want to do something about this. And as it turned out, serendipity, I met someone who was starting a fund, and they asked me to join, and there we are. Today, the fund, Piers 70 Ventures, we invest in health, but pretty broadly, we do therapeutics, drugs, as well as digital and devices. And we, of course, have a strong inclination towards AI-enabled devices, as well as digital health nowadays is sort of synonymous with AI these days. We do early stage, and for us, that means anything from seed to B. We've done a few Bs, we've done a few seeds, but the bulk of our investments are pretty solidly in the A. Our check sizes range depending upon where we are investing, with seed perhaps around 250K, and then we go all the way up to about 2 million. Early stage, what else do I have to say? Did I get it all?
You guys lead, follow.
Oh, we lead and we syndicate deals. We're happy to syndicate deals. We often look for indicators like, syndicating it with strategics. We like that. And but otherwise, we're quite happy to lead as well. And we've sort of done a bit of both in all our 15 deals this far.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. So next, and by far not least, Arthur Mrzowski, Managing Partner at Silicon Hill Ventures.
Hello. So my story is I came here off the boat from Poland 43 years ago, son of the software engineers, which was pretty rare back then. So I followed my father's steps, and then I had a big career, C coding and going through the digital domain of all of the digital video that was created from early on out. And eventually I helped a little company called Netflix to get established and so on. And after that, I got myself involved with one of the co-founders of Netflix. We set it up, Silicon Hill Ventures. It was a small boutique about 20 years ago or so, 23 years ago now. And then we invested in anything that was at the time the most popular. So we were doing IoT, social media, digital related projects. And about a year ago or so, we decided not to extend out the life of this project. I went back to becoming an operator and advisor mostly, and I was also part of the Inspire Global Ventures, which is a femtech $100 million fund. So right now I'm kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up, but mostly operation. I love building the companies.
Excellent. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the panel before we dive into it, what are you seeing in terms of pre-seed sizes of rounds and seed? It just seems to be sort of all over the map in terms of sizes of rounds. What you would think of, a couple of years ago as a Series A is now like a pre-seed or a seed. What are you seeing? What are you folks seeing in terms of sizes of rounds?
It feels like it's easier to raise a $100 million pre-seed round than a $2 million seed round. It's just out of whack. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah. The hardest amount of money to raise is like between 500,000 and 2 million. If you're raising less than that, you can like crowdsource it from everyone you've ever met. And if you're doing more than that, you can go to more serious people. But yeah, there's this, especially in climate tech, the place that the funnel is broken at that very early stage, like the first 5 million. And then it's broken again when we get to like project finance, first of a kind plants and that sort of thing. But that's after my bit. So I'm not worried about that.
I think biotech is really ruining all of us. There was Zyra Therapeutics recently raised a Series A of like 100 million. 100 million. I mean, where does it leave the rest of us? So it can be quite crazy.
Yeah, let me add a comment. Part of the issue is that the definition of what a seed round is that some people consider a seed round their first equity round, so it's pretty far along. Other people call the seed round when they're just trying to raise $500,000 to get going. So I would say 500,000 to 3 million is a reasonable range.
And so, because we're seeing, these rounds of, varying sizes, are you guys deploying capital any differently today than you were a couple of years ago? And as sort of a second part to that, are you seeing founders raising differently? We talked about these crazy, large seed rounds, but just generally for the average founders, are you seeing any difference in the way they're building and raising, and you're responding to that change?
I think it just gets more and more demanding on the founders. I think there was a time, like way back in history of the Valley, where you could raise money on a cocktail napkin. I don't know. I wasn't here then, but you can't do that now. I think cocktail napkins went out of fashion a while ago, and now, and particularly in health, when we talk to founders in digital health, you've got to have revenues. Some of us ask for at least 1 million. Some of us say, no, don't come to us till you've got 5 million in revenue. And that really puts them in a bind. You have to scrap your resources from somewhere and get to 5 million in revenue. So I don't know. I think it's tough. It's a very tough time.
Let me add a comment. So we made a decision 8 years ago to go global, because I concluded that there are smart people everywhere. The world has gone flat in that regard, and that was a wise decision. So we invest U.S., Canada, Israel, India, but as I said, in anything, we're about 70% life science. And frankly, that's played a big role in our success because investors saw companies that they wouldn't normally see. Most angel groups and many VCs tend to be localized. They're not global. We see deals from the whole world. And so we actually have funds investing in us that said, you're like our farm team, because we see 50 startups a month and we can have an idea of where's the world going.
Yeah, we're seeing companies that say, we have a co-lead investor. We ask, do you have a lead investor, co-lead? Where are you right now? We don't really want to be the first. We don't want to be the last. It's crazy. And then we also see a lot of very disciplined cash burn, right? So people run out of money so much faster, especially in the healthcare space. So we want to see good, solid financials. And that's hard, right?
So I want to pick up on that, and also something that you said, Preeti. What are the must-haves for the founders in the room to come to you for a pre-seed or a seed? What are, you're talking about $1 million or $5 million in revenue. That's not, a seed company or a pre-seed company. But what are the must-haves at that pre-seed and seed stage for you to fund them?
I say this quite often. The number one must-have for me is there must be typos in the slide deck. If this must-have typos in the slide deck.
Because it means they didn't waste all their time making a perfect deck and they're just running the company. Yeah.
Yeah. If your slide deck is perfect, it's too late for me. I want to meet founders when they're still building their slide deck and they're just thinking about what kind of business to build. If you start talking about $1 million, $5 million in revenue, that's not seed at all. No. Right? Those investors will never invest in seed. I want to invest in founders when things are still in the very early stage. This is more traditional venture capital. That's what I do. And every investor is different. Every investor has a different flavor of how they think, what good chemistry feels for them. I've interviewed about 175 VCs. I run a podcast called The Sure Shot Entrepreneur. Listen to the podcast. You'll get, you listen to a bunch of episodes, you'll get a flavor for how VCs think. What goes on in the meeting, when they meet founders, the first meeting and the second meeting. Why do they say yes? What gets them excited? I even ask them questions like, why do you say no? And what's the most common reason for you to say no? So that process seems to be very, very different for every single VC. And their mindset, it gets fired up when they see a few things, and that could be good for one VC, and that might not resonate with another VC. It's very, very personal.
So what are the must-haves at the pre-seed stage? Do they have to have a team? Do you have to have some kind of validation of the hypothesis, some kind of market fit? I mean, give us some concrete, things that you look for that make you want to lean into that particular company.
So for us, as a climate company, we don't expect you to necessarily have certainly not 5 million revenue, not 1 million, because, we're on the clock with climate and we can't sit around and wait for these companies to live or die. Like if they all die, so does the planet at some point, and I'll still be alive when that happens. So, we're happy to do it quite a bit earlier. For us, it's that you have to have the potential to 100x, and you have to be able to address a cumulative gigaton of emissions by 2050. But we also want to see that, come along and say, oh, yeah, my product is more expensive than the non-green version by this amount, but you have to have a plan for when it commercializes that it will be at parity. So no green premium. And then, does your tech actually work? We have an in-house chemical engineer and an in-house mechanical engineer and various other engineers, on staff or on speed dial. And we will put people through the ringer. And then lastly, you do need, the team doesn't have to be more than like a guy and a gal in a garage, but the team for me is life and death. Like if the founder itself is when you meet the real thing very, very quickly, and you also know when you meet someone who's all green and no biz.
So an MVP.
Roger, can I add to that?
Yeah, sure.
I think of all the things, particularly in a pre-seed, but in every stage of the game, what impresses me the most is the founder. They used to say, I don't know if they still do, that an A team can execute on a B idea, but a B team can fail on the A idea every time. And it's absolutely true, and I've seen this now, unfortunately, and so that's why I believe in this more and more, that it's got to be a killer team. And a team, as you said, is super important. Not a killer single person, a lone wolf, but a team that rounds out complementarity. I think that's the lead, whoever that is, has to have the charisma, the vision, the ability to recruit others, including investors, and the ability to bring people along with them. And they have to, for me, it's important that they're also ethical and they think broadly and believe in diverse teams and all that. So these are sort of personality attributes that go, for me, way beyond the dollar.
And I want to get back to that, but just getting to this team, I've got so many clients, very early stage, no money. They don't have the dream team. So, when you get a guy and a gal, they come to you, it's not a fully baked team. They've got a lot of gaps in their core competencies that they're going to need to fill. Is that for you, Preeti?
I'll give you a few points.
Is that a fundable company?
Okay, but Roger, you have to call me Preetha first.
Preetha.
Don't you think?
Right.
I'll give you 2 points.
Okay, sorry. I've got a
All but that's everybody has that. The 2 things that you have to have, one is traction. No matter what your idea is in which field, there's somebody in the world, even if it's a new drug that'll take 10 years, someone in the world says, whoa, if that works, I may be interested. So traction is a measure of viability. And the second thing is IP, because the thing you all know in today's world when you got millions of startups is anything that becomes big is going to create competition. And if you don't have stuff to protect your competition from the competition, you're dead.
There's so many things I want to get back to, but go ahead, Melody.
Yeah, I agree with the traction part, and I want to expand on that. If you have one customer, utilize that customer. Use your metrics. Prove that you can get that customer, because ultimately we want to help you scale. If you don't know how to scale, that's no problem. Get that customer. We'll help you with the rest. You need to be coachable as well. We've been operators. We've done so much, and we know you are very smart too. But you need to be coachable, because chances are we've seen a lot more other VCs and founders.
I want to plus one.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something because I didn't say anything yet. So
All right.
I just wanted to say, for me, actually, the most important thing was the storyline. So somebody that can actually explain exactly what it is that they do, and I think that that's the most important thing, because when you have a lot of meetings during the day, and then you have the people that can express what it is that they're looking for, you get bored. And then when I get this charisma with something behind, not necessarily the intrinsics of the technology, but the actual human aspect of it, that's what draws me into exploring more and then digging into it.
Yeah, can I just add to that? A good framing is why now, why this, why us? If you don't have a really solid answer to all of those, then what are you even doing this for? Like, it's too difficult to do it without that. And I want to plus one to something that both Melody and Preetha said, which is an ethical founder. Like, we're not here to create a monster. Hopefully, if it all goes well, this person is going to be very wealthy and influential in the end, and I'm going to work with them for maybe 10 plus years, or 7 plus years, let's say. And I really like to not strangle each other, and I'd really like them to have a fundamental set of values that are going to stick with them even as they get more wealthy and influential.
All right. Did you want to add something? So I want to pick up on something you said, Paul. IP is very valuable to you. You get a lot of VCs that don't really subscribe to that. They've got to have patents and patent portfolios. But one of the questions you always seem to get is, what's your moat? So for you folks, early stage companies, seed, pre-seed, what does a moat look like? And especially with AI companies where, the underlying data is becoming so commoditized, what is the moat to you guys? And Preetha?
Data is not becoming commoditized, particularly in healthcare. Well, just in healthcare. Let's talk about that. The data is the moat. And where you get the data, who owns the data? Is it how large is your data set? Is it protected in some way? You could be getting, so that is super, super important. The cost of data, the cost of acquisition of data, that's all that weighs in with us when we evaluate like our digital health companies. The data is going to be training the model, and the model is going to improve. And if you have good data and only you have that data perhaps, it's almost as good as only you having that algorithm, the RAG, the model, whatever, to train your LLM. The LLM is getting commoditized.
So what about for the rest of the panel? When you're looking at companies and you're looking in the moat, what is a moat to you at the pre-seed stage?
I think moat is useless. VCs are extremely good at saying no. Most VCs meet 99 entrepreneurs, then they invest in one entrepreneur. 100 to 1 ratio. Most of the time, even if they don't know how to make that one good investment, they are really good at saying no 99 times. They got training on that. So when they say no, they have to come up with a very brilliant excuse, which puts the burden on the founder. And the founder leaves the meeting thinking there's something wrong with them. That's what good VCs or bad VCs specialize in. So you go back thinking, oh my God, how do I build moat? Nobody has moat. Check.com had moat until ChatGPT came out. You think Google has moat? Sundar Pichai is like trembling in his legs. He doesn't know how to deal with the world when so many Gen AI companies are coming out. There is no moat for anyone. That doesn't exist. And trying to start having a conversation at pre-seed and seed when the company doesn't even have the first set of revenues and first set of customers, it's a waste of time to talk about moat.
I kind of beg to differ, just on a sort of a superficial level, in that as an investor, you probably want to see a company that you believe will have an unfair advantage over a period of time. If it's just a question of first market wins, is that enough of a competitive advantage? Because, very often the second mover advantage is more powerful than the first mover advantage. So isn't there anything that you look for? Maybe it's the team, right? They've got a team that is built to execute, and that's their moat. Or as Preetha said, it's the data that they're collecting and the way they're collecting it, the way they're manipulating that data, that's their moat. But aren't you looking for, maybe Zoe, you can tell us, aren't you looking for some differentiator that...
Yeah, I think maybe it's more like a secret sauce than a moat, because it doesn't, well, maybe moats don't always work if there are enough zombies. But I mean, for us in climate tech, it's very often patents. We make it worth buying you rather than out competing you. We want to see a team that can execute, and we want to see the thing that's the hardest to replicate is relationships and partnerships. So if you say, oh yeah, we have we have the first data partnership with such and such, or we have 3 of us used to work at DeepMind, and so we've got all these relationships in Google. I mean, I'd say, well, I've got those two, but as an example. And so if you can come in and you show your network and you show your relationships, and that one of our founders, for example, he used to be in sustainability at Nike. He knows everyone across the whole of apparel and sustainability, and you can't buy that.
So I just want to go ahead, Paul.
Let me add a comment to that. So what you got to do is close your eyes and imagine how this will evolve, because any individual factor may or may not apply to that company. The dynamics of a biotech are night and day different than the dynamics for a semiconductor company or an AI software company that gets revenue in 6 months. You really have to imagine where it's going to go. You have to understand how much money it's going to take to get there. And then you got to make sure the things I mentioned before, for the fraction, and the IP.
I want to pick up on something you said, Preetha. And that goes to the characteristics of the founders that really make you want to lean in. So it sounds like for you, storytelling is really important. Vision, yeah, and storytelling will help you build a team, will help you get funded. What are the other characteristics, maybe Melody or Gopa or Arthur, that you look for, or when you see it, it really kind of makes you lean in? And on the flip side, are there characteristics, and maybe for you it's non-coachability, that make you just want to sort of take a step back?
I'm looking more in the getting my experience with the IP creation. I prefer to go to the market first, because the IP is good for companies like Apple, Google, and so on, when they actually have the lawyers that they can afford to spend $50 million protecting their IP. A lot of startups essentially waste their time trying to actually protect the IP, while they should be more into the business of actually getting their market space. And that's usually what I'm looking for in the terms of actually getting into the action, trying to figure it out, how are we going to be making money. And those are the qualities, at least when we were looking at the teams, versus creating like IP in semiconductors or any other ones.
So I'll get to you, Melody. Are there any red flags in terms of founders and some characteristics when you see them, you go like, well, that's not for me?
I would say that any disagreements within the team, like whispering and then making faces, raise the red flag right away, or inability to recite the, whatever it is that it's on the slide. I'd like those people to actually understand that they can by heart actually say each line of what it is that it's out there. And a lot of cases that, there's a bunch of numbers that they're not familiar with.
Melody?
Yeah, back to fundraising. I like to look for founders who are very methodical in telling us what they're going to use our money. How are they going to achieve their milestones? If they're asking for $500,000, I want to know what the $100,000 is going to be for, etc. And then the other thing is that in terms of data, we don't care if you use AI. We want you to use AI to collect data, help expand data. But then what AI can't do is, what if the data goes wrong? Who are you going to blame, right? So it can't really catch that kind of nuance. So we need founders to be able to answer those kind of questions for us.
Are there any red flags? You mentioned, you want people that are coachable. Any other red flags, characteristics that you see, you can go like, well, I need to walk away from that?
Yeah, founders who have worked together, that's great. Founders who live together, we'll see. Hey. Spend too much time together? I don't know.
But I want to go back to what Roger said. Roger, the thing about the IP, and you like this because you're legal, right? The thing about the IP is it really depends upon which area, which sector you're in. So for biotech, therapeutics, IP is everything. You know, when your time comes to exit your company and you've got this amazing pharma that's looking at this, they will absolutely look into that IP of yours. Maybe in a software company or others, it doesn't matter as much. And I think what's also important is we're all coming at it from different lenses because we're all in different sectors of the market. And VCs are as different as you can ever get. So when you're doing your research, you need to talk to people that they have funded, so you understand the personality type, the kind of interactions, the kind of coaching, the kinds of support each VC will present differently. Even though I think all VCs say, of course we'll support you once we fund you, but the reality, talk to the companies they fund.
Yeah, I agree that they have to have done their homework. I get so many generic emails, and that's the one use of AI that I really, really don't like. And I also want to meet with people. You know, I'm in climate. There are a lot of people in climate who are like, the tree huggers, and we all love the trees, but we also, this is business, and we are not going to make any compromise on that part of it, because climate stuff will not stick if it doesn't pay attention to that. So, for example, I just met a wonderful founder who was very uncomfortable with the fact that I said to the Department of Defense or War or whatever it's called this hour, would be a great customer for you because they have a thing that could make the military bases run greener, and the US military has the carbon footprint of a good-sized country, and they're not selling bombs, but they were still really squicked out by it because it was the military. And obviously you should know your limits, but I found that to be unhelpful because at the end of the day, it's the real world, and you have to be able to work in it.
How important is it, for you folks to see real founder market fit? Is it a necessity? Is it sort of a gating item, or it doesn't really matter? Gopi?
It's absolutely important. I'll give you an easy to understand example. Google was founded by Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And when they started, their plan was to organize information for the world and make it accessible to everybody democratically. They're still living the same mission today. Mark Zuckerberg, when he started and his co-founder started Facebook, when it was still called The Facebook, if you remember how it started with 2 photos of classmates, and you vote who is hotter. So the whole goal was about the hacker mentality, getting eyeballs, getting attention of people, and they still live the same culture. And if you take Steve Jobs, who created Apple, it was a very secretive culture, need to know culture. 2 people who work at Apple don't know what the other person's working on. That's the style. And they had this bravado. Steve is a genius product person. He knew what customers wanted. Even before the customers knew, they would be addicted to it. If he had asked the customers what you want, they wouldn't be able to articulate. But Steve knew that if he built an iPhone, if he built an iPod, and that would work for the customer, and they would not just like it, but they would love it. So now you take these 3 characters, 3 different business ideas, and you rotate them. You ask Steve Jobs to build hacker mentality, and you ask Mark Zuckerberg to do organize information for the world, and you ask Larry Page and Sergey Brin to do secretive culture. That's not going to work. I think that product founder market fit on founder idea fit matters a lot. Is this founder born to do this? Is this idea waiting for this founder to solve? That is magic.
Okay, I know we're running out of time. The panel, the header was what's hot, what's not, and we haven't gotten to anyway. So maybe we just start in reverse order. What are the things that founders think is really hot, but really is attractive to investors?
Reverse order. There we go. So I think that what's not hot right now is the high valuations and high follow-up.
Spoke a lot through VC.
They're done. I think that fintech kind of got pushed from number 1 in the city here down to maybe number 4, and it's more fundable from New York than from here. And I think anything that is AI but very superficial, I think that everyone knows about it, and just you can poke through it. And
You talking about like rapper companies? Are you talking about like rapper companies when you're talking about superficial?
ones that are pretty. I mean, you could see like last year, I think I was in one of the conferences in San Francisco that used to be in the same palace. Like 10 years earlier, there was a crypto conference. Same people were there, but they had the tattoo AI on their foreheads, right? So you knew that they were a kind of opportunistic people, and they had nothing to do with the current push of the technology.
So in health, AI is definitely picking up steam, but there's a lot of hype has been blown over. So we're looking for, it's table stakes. AI is table stakes, but we're looking for clinical validation, proof of outcomes before we actually put money in. So prove it to me, show me the product market fit, show me where it's working, show me decrease in, disease, whatever, or increase in efficacy before we'll put the money in. Yeah, AI is there, but
Are there any areas of health tech that are not interesting, but founders think is interesting?
the stuff like, I have a conversational AI for doing just one thing, point solutions.
So here's my $2 million lesson where I lost $2 million. So when my first company went public, you might remember late 90s, our displays were huge. Then we went lot lines. We had a chip in every display and big NASDAQ IPO. So of course, this was 1998. So of course, New York says, oh, this guy's got money. So, hey, .com, internet's going to change the world. And, oh yeah, great CEO and interesting market, 100,000 times 20. Well, the internet did change the world. We can't live without it. But it's a commodity. It's everywhere. Cisco used to be the world's most valuable company. It's not. And so AI is going to be absorbed everywhere. You're going to do easier searches, you're going to get information faster, but it's become commoditized just like everything else. And in fact, if I had to use my imagination, I would say that most of the AI startups today will be replaced by AI itself in 5 years. I'm dead serious. You talk about agents, there'll be AI that creates agents, or however you want to invest in that. So I think AI today, most companies use AI in their products, and that's good to make a product better. But AI as a pure investment, there are going to be very few winners.
Are there companies today that don't have some aspect of AI? They're AI enabled, AI driven, and
of course there are. We have nothing called Enduralock. So they invented 7 years ago a way to attach bolts on every machinery, like oil rigs or, aerospace applications in a way where it doesn't get loose, which is a big problem. And they have an easy tool to undo it. So it's a nut and bolt technology. There's no AI there. And they're doing very, very well. They're being used.
Yeah, we're not going to solve climate change without an awful lot of green steel in the ground and building stuff. Like we're not going to solve it with an app. So yeah, not AI is only useful to us if it's applied and if it has some sort of actual real world function. What's not hot anymore, I think, is smart everything. You remember people like your fridge and your microwave and your bathtub are all going to be friends and they're all going to talk about you behind your back. And I don't think anybody wants that anymore. People have had experiences where the internet goes down and they can't turn their lights on. So I don't want everything in my house to have an on switch. I want it to last a long time. I think what's going to get increasingly hot is stuff that lasts a really long time. I'm wearing a 25-year-old jacket. I always wear something old when I'm on a panel like this because I'm a climate person and that's the sustainable choice. And I think people are sick of stuff that is a subscription and you have to throw it away and it's made of crap. I also think green tech, climate tech is sneakily hot because, obviously people are like, oh no, we're pulling out of Paris and, there's no policy support for it. But that's only at the federal level. There's still a lot of support in, the part of the world that is not America, and also at the federal, at the municipal and the state level. And if you think about a climate tech company starting today that's going to exit in 2033 when the fundamentals are starting to look really quite scary out in the real world, it's a fantastic time to be getting into climate tech because it's when everyone else is losing their heads.
okay, so we can say that we actually did talk about the topic. So what's hot? Obviously, AI is hot. Are there particular areas of AI, whether it's at the app layer, the foundational layer, the model layer, where are you folks seeing like the really interesting things, in the AI space?
If it's okay to tweak the question, to
Sure.
answer the question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have talked about sectors. I want to talk about fundraising and how founders are changing. I think founders used to chase brands, like big VC firms, name brand firms, and they got burned because they didn't get help, or worse. The first rule of venture capital is you do no harm. And most of those investors caused harm. So those founders have realized, or their friends, through their friends' experiences, they've realized that brand doesn't matter. During the hype cycle, the VC firms that invested in brands attracted a lot of founders, and now that has changed. So smart founders are moving away from big brands. They realize that the partner, the single person who writes the check, who is responsible for the investment, they play a role in the journey of the founder, and that matters a lot. That's a big shift that I see compared to a few years ago.
All right, I think that's a great point. Just getting back to the prior question, any things that you're seeing in AI that are hot right now? Obviously, agentic AI is hot in the health tech space. Anything that accelerates the clinical.
So building LLMs is not what we tell our startups to be thinking about. We'd rather they spend their time collecting that data that, Gopi says wasn't useful, but the data to fine-tune, develop the models. I think the RAGs, the small LLMs, edge computing, federated learning, that's hot, particularly for health, because you want to have your data on your phone. You don't want to send it. Also, knowledge graphs are coming back in a big way, and I think we're going to see a lot of, particularly in biology where it's so complex, knowledge graphs are coming in to solve some of those problems. So I would say those three.
Yeah, and anything that helps with reimbursement, because without reimbursement, you cannot scale. So anything that basically helps reduce hospital admission rate, because the new laws are very focused on lowering the hospital admission rate, and that's how doctors are measured in some ways. The other thing would be any workflow improvement, workflow efficiencies, right? If you're picking a clinical hospital site, how is one better than the other? How do you do that? So we're interested in exploring how AI can help with that.
I think that the most important thing is to realize that right now we're building this giant brain, and that brain is composed out of data centers. So anything that has to do with improving it, and as we know from McKinsey report, there's a 30% growth for the data centers. So anything that improves the energy efficiency, compute, definitely those are super investable opportunities. Right?
Great.
I got one quick comment for you.
Quick one.
Really quickly. Is it hot from the point of view of the founder or the investor? For the investors, the AI wave is gone. So AI startups valued as any other company makes sense. I was helping an advisor. I often have coffee with startups because they want to talk to me, sure. And he had an idea for an AI company. He said, Paul, why don't you invest? I said, what's the valuation? $30 million. And I said, my whole bloody portfolio of 90 companies is worth $25 million. For investors, the wave is gone. And tech is always waves that eventually dissipate.
Yeah, I mean, the clients that I'm seeing getting funded are integrated into the stack, are really creating additional value, in that stack in terms of the way they're doing things, automating things. But we've got just a few minutes left, and I want to get into fundraising. So you talked about one of the mistakes that founders make is going to the wrong investor, and I think I see that a lot. Founders just don't optimize their time. They're looking at the wrong investor with the wrong stage. Don't fund their sector, whatever. But what are some of the most common mistakes that you see founders making in the fundraising process?
I really, really wish founders would know the stuff, tell the story clearly, and not go all over the place like, excuse me, what was it that you were trying to say or trying to build? It's that carries a lot of weight with me, the ability to articulate clearly, concisely what it is you're doing and what is the business you're in. You know, like, where's the money?
So we did a fireside with Barry Eggers, the founder of Lightspeed. He said if he doesn't get it in 2 minutes, like, he's not going to.
Let me just add something. The biggest mistake founders make when they talk to investors, and I remember after these panels, 10 people lined up to want to talk. They talk about their technology. I don't understand every technology. Tell me what problem you're solving. Why will this become a valuable business? And we'll catch the technology and due diligence.
I actually do care about the technology.
Business. But I guess it depends on the product, right? I mean, I don't think you have to spend 25 minutes talking about, that cancer is a really big market.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. People are like, climate is changing and it's really bad. And I'm like, can we just skip to like slide 11? Because I can sort of see where we're going. I think, yeah, get to the fun bit. If you are in anything in clean tech, you should be subscribed to ctvc.co, or they are, all the climate funds are listed there. And also I would say when you're practicing your pitch, in the same way that we're going to need a customer to vouch for you or some other expert, someone who's not your bestie, practice on not your bestie. Because sometimes the reason your pitch is bad is because you practice on your mom or someone who has to tell you it's great. And practice on someone who doesn't have to tell you that.
As a founder, you're selling two things. You sell products to customers and you sell shares to investors. Most founders are really good at the first one, which is if I ask any founder, a good founder, what is your ICP, ideal customer profile? They'll be able to describe in detail, this is the characteristics of my ICP, these are personas that we're chasing, these are 3 or 4 different types of personas, and these are the verticals we're targeting, and these are behaviors of our customers. And you take the same founder, and I ask the question, who is your ideal investor? They wouldn't be able to articulate. They don't do a lot of research on investors. So as a result, they end up meeting a lot of investors who they shouldn't meet. And even before the meeting happened, the investor has decided they're not going to invest, and they still take the meeting because investors just do that. They want to learn. But it's a waste of time for founders. But if they could optimize, if the founder figures out what kind of investor is suitable for me, size, stage, sector, geography, and a few other things. If you can go a little further to see if you can understand the personality of the investor, which sectors they have done research already, so they have an informed mindset. So you can see in the first 10 minutes of the conversation how the investor is reacting. You can run fast with a good investor who has done homework. If you send them a slide deck and they didn't even see the slide deck, it's a waste of time because you're walking into a meeting to educate the investor about the basics. What you want to do is you want to have an intelligent conversation with someone who cares. So if you can do a little bit of research on the investor, and these days so much information is available about investors, you should be able to pick up information. And the best source of information is forums like this. This is why Rob's created platforms like this, so you can learn from other founders and you can research them well before you come in, and say no to some investors if you don't see them in your zone of investing. They're not actively investing. There are many investors who they invested, the last deal they did was 5 years ago. They're not writing a check, but they still take meetings. I don't know why. They're bored and they want entertainment, maybe. So you can avoid those investors and you won't have a lot of heartburn and like a lot of pain that you go through in your fundraising. Focus on investors. Do the same amount of research that you do for your customers.
I have to disagree with a few things there. So,
All right, we've got some disagreement.
there are times when I receive a deck and I really haven't had time to look at it. So I will come to that meeting cold. That doesn't mean I'm not interested in hearing it. That's fine. Here's your thing. Tell me what it is. And there are times when at the end of that, it turns out that, I really love that, So just because they haven't read your deck doesn't mean whatever it doesn't mean, whatever he said. I think the second thing is I really think it's important that you understand that a no is not a no. A no doesn't mean never again, don't come to me for the rest of your life kind of a no. A no just means I can't do it right now. I'm raising my next fund. I don't believe that you can do this. Maybe you don't have enough traction. No, I just want to see how your team evolves. It could be any one of those things, and they're not obligated to tell you all of that. They don't want to tell you that. If you get a no, you should perhaps ask. I'm always good with it. Go back and give them a quarterly, a 3-month update, because I want to see that traction. And a no doesn't mean, in many cases we've done a no and then we've come back and it's taken 2 years. So yeah, sometimes that happens. It takes 2 years. I want to see that you know what you're saying, that you've got the customers you told me last month you would have, that you're now getting the revenues. You said, oh yeah, by third quarter we'll have 5 customers and another 1 million. Like, really? And I'm watching, because how will I reduce that execution risk? All the other risks being there, I can watch and wait. And I'm sorry, but it does take time sometimes.
Yeah, just to that point, I've had a couple of VCs in the last 3 weeks say that they get to know founders over a 6-week period of time, and they see what they're doing in that 6-week period. And often it's an incredible predictor of what they're going to do in the future, how quickly not that they're going to build a product in 6 weeks, but just the development in 6 weeks.
Okay, I just got to add this because you said this. It's kind of a marriage. You're going to know this person. You're going to be with this person. This person's going to tell you what to do, your VC, for the next 5 years. I mean, unless you're super, super successful and you finish it off in 2 years and you have an exit. But for 5 years, you've got to know that you like this person, that whatever advice they're going to give you, they're going to sit on your board and tell you, do this. And so you need to get to know this person, just like we need to get to know you. And Melody's point, are you coachable? How will we know that in that 1 10-minute, pitch, 15-minute pitch? I know you're saying the end, sorry.
It's also okay if it's not a fit for some reason that may never be a fit with that firm, but you felt like there was a vibe with that particular partner. Ask them, is there anyone else in your network? We all talk to each other.
Yes.
So ask for intros.
Melody?
So do your homework, and then I like your pitch to be super ready. So rehearse. Also, when I see LinkedIn requests about pitching to me, a lot of times you don't even know, you don't even do your research about what we do, what we believe in, and so forth. And the other thing is, when you're pitching, if we're interested, a lot of times, a lot of founders don't have data room. And so spend time putting that together.
We're out of time about 5 minutes ago. Quick question. We'll start with you, Arthur. What's the one question that entrepreneurs should ask you before taking your money?
Well, I would say the best qualification would be whether what was the other portfolio companies that were part of the similar type of a project, how well they were doing, whether they exited, and then also question whether we do follow-up investment.
I would ask, who can you introduce me to so I can scale my company in the next 6 months?
Just to that point, we had Olga from Khosla last week, and she said, that's such a tough one, because everybody wants to get introduced to a large enterprise, and Khosla is not going to introduce 50 companies to the same enterprise customers. So is that really a real one?
Well, we're not Khosla, so we can safely say that we're a small company. I mean, we're a small fund, and if we invest in you, we will pick up the phone for you.
That's another good reason to your point, right? To go with people that can really help you as opposed to a brand.
I also hope that I know when you're ready to have this conversation, or I can help you figure out when you're ready. I'm not going to put you in a room with someone from Amazon if you're not ready for that. But doesn't mean I couldn't do that in another 6 months.
Okay. Paul, one question that a founder should ask you before taking a check.
One question?
One question they should ask you before taking your money.
They should ask me?
Yeah.
That's a tough one because it doesn't matter. They should ask me, am I a strong supporter of a company we invest in?
Yeah.
And that's a yes.
They should ask me if we will have talked about what they need from an investor. So they'll say, oh, I need help with Thing. How will you help me with Thing in the first 6 months? It might be introductions, it might be strategy, it might be UX, might be engineering, whatever that thing is. And they should be listening not for just the plan that I give them, but like how I think about it and if my way of thinking is aligned with theirs.
Toby.
They should text me at 10 p.m. And if I don't respond by 10:15, they shouldn't take my money. And that's a test for all VCs that you should, before you take that money. If they're not on top of it while the deal is happening, they're not going to be useful to you. When you're in
Doesn't matter
trouble.
what's in the text.
Doesn't matter.
So, Gopi,
You can get creative.
what does value add look like to you?
There are 3 fundamental value adds. Can you help get customers? Obviously, you can't open your entire network and start selling. Then none of the founders will be able to benefit from the network. So there's a right way to do it at the right time. Can you get customers? That with enterprise, it's a lot easier. With B2C, it's much harder, but there are other ways we can help founders. Can you help recruit, especially senior candidates? Finding your advanced engineer, that's not where I can help. But if you're looking for head of sales or first product manager, those are areas where I can help. The third area is fundraising. So just like how founders are going through fundraising, once the moment I invest, I'm looking for how to help the founder raise the next round of funding. So the process of fundraising is something that founder can heavily lean on me, because that's a total waste of time for founders. Getting good at fundraising doesn't help with business. Getting good at customers, getting good at recruiting is incredibly helpful for founders. So founders, fundraising is where I can help substantially. Now, all of this packaged together, the founder himself or herself is also evolving. As a leader, as a manager, as a technologist, as a visionary, that journey itself, can I be a part of that? Can I be a trusted advisor? So these are fundamental areas where a trusted advisor can help.
Melody, you're the last word on this.
All right. Well, yeah. A lot of founders don't want to fundraise, but I want to help them learn how to fundraise, because that's their vision, right? The vision's a company. And the other thing is, what questions to ask? Build a team, because if you hire a VP and that doesn't work out, you're going to lose 6 months of money.
But what's the question they should ask you before taking DSX's money?
What failures have I had as a VC? And please talk to the portfolio companies that we invest in and learn from them and learn how you can work with us. Because it's a 7 to 10 year marriage, hopefully last longer than that, right? There's a 7-year hitch or itch. But in healthcare, it's a 10-year cycle, right? So we want to be together for the long haul.
You and Preetha talk about this marriage thing. Marriage you can get out of. VC, you can't get out of that.
Get out of.
You can't get out
No,
of
you
that.
can't.
So,
You made a vow.
yeah, you need to be absolutely sure that there's complete alignment of vision before you go into it. If there isn't, there's no divorce. Alrighty, great. Thank you to our panel. Really amazing. Appreciate your insights, and we'll turn it over to Rolf.
Well, panel, you exceeded expectations. You exceeded the time limit, but that's our moderator's fault, as usual. So I have to ask, I don't know, do you believe in the work-life balance? Because ideally, we want 30 minutes of audience Q&A, which would take us to 8:45 p.m. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay. I have to ask, the question was, what's hot? Is our panel hot? Woo! So how can audience members contact you? Arthur, how can audience members contact you? Do you want to be contacted?
Oh, sure, through LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Preetha,
LinkedIn.
use the mic.
LinkedIn.
Paul,
LinkedIn.
use the mic.
LinkedIn, or just email me, paul@k2x.capital.
LinkedIn, or we actually do read the web form. So if we submit a climate company through our website, we do eventually read all of them. If it's very, very urgent, though, LinkedIn.
Gopi, you want to text at 10 p.m.? Yeah, go ahead.
Got to have the stakes.
10:15.
I like your emails. Like they're very short,
Yeah.
to the point, and that's it. No bullshit. Like
Thank you.
it's easy to read and
Email only. I don't take text. I only take email.
yeah, very effective. Email works for me. gopi@sure.ventures. LinkedIn's great as well. What I cannot do is when you send an email saying, "Hey, can I have a 30-minute coffee chat?" It's really difficult for me to do that. That's why I show up here so I can talk to 20 people at the same time. But if it's something relevant that is in my zone of investing, absolutely, I'd love to talk.
LinkedIn is best, and send me a very brief email about what you guys do.
Roger, you want to be contacted?
Sure, LinkedIn or email.
Well, Roger will be contacting you anyway. So, if you want to contact me, ask Melissa. So now it's time for audience Q&A. So if you have a question for our panel, step right up, right here. We're going to take as many questions as possible for 30 minutes. First question.
Of all the things you've done in investing, what is a couple of the most wild one, most wacky investment that you've made, not necessarily performing the due diligence that you think that you probably should have later?
Our dumbest investment, I'll tell you. So, like my $2 million lesson when I was investing in everything stupidly, someone contacted and said, there's a new .com called The Female Athlete. They sell female sports goods. Just the name is worth $5 million. So I invested. That was stupid.
I feel like every single investment of mine is wild and wacky. When I meet the founders, nothing's ever clear. Everything feels like unsure, and eventually I go with them on the ride. Before I started my firm, with my previous firm, we invested in Coinbase in the early days. And that was quite wacky because they came up with the idea that we're going to take down all the banks and we're going to be the new financial system. And their app was banned on Apple iPhone. Now that's how they started. But now they've become a $100 billion company.
All of mine are wacky. I'm a climate investor, and the president doesn't believe in climate change.
So, do you have some recommendation on the type of company that should not go for VC, but should go for just like one round of angel round? Do all of you want to have like multiple rounds, or do you actively reject company that just want to raise one or maximum two round and try to go from there?
That's a lot of questions there. So we would like to have one round and be done, like closer to an exit. Why not? It sounds awesome.
Not for exit, but for like just lifting up.
VCs don't invest in lifestyle companies. Does that make sense? Like it has to be like that. And it has to have an exit. We don't make money until you exit. So if you don't think there's an exit, you're just going to keep on doing this, then that's not VC. That's your first question.
I see. That makes sense.
And also, you don't see that it could be a big coming. Right, and see that you're going to see 5 years' time, we could be at $5 million. That's not a VC outcome.
So it must have an exit. Like
all we do and make money. We give you like they aren't giving you money. We're investing.
So let's say
you accept dividends like at all.
No, that's the lifestyle company. So if you start a dental practice, 3 dentists come together and they take some money as an investment, and they're never going to exit. There's no way to sell the business. They're going to be dentists for the rest of their lives, and that's their profession. That's not a business a VC would invest in. Any other parallel to that, where it's a lifestyle business, where you'll keep going and you'll have fun with it. It's a good business, but it won't be the big blockbuster outcome that will produce enormous returns for VCs. And in return, I also have investors. That's the promise that I make to my investors, that I'm going to invest in a bunch of companies. Some of them will fail, or many of them will fail, and 1 or 2 of them, when they become successful, they will be so successful that will pay for all the failures and some more.
And
can you be that? If you cannot be that, then I shouldn't be investing in the first place.
And also bear in mind that, a fund might last 10 years with maybe 1 or 2 years of extension. So like if you're getting invested in by a fund that's got 8 years left on the clock, they need to see an exit within that time frame as well.
Thank you.
If you had a company that's going to go public in a year or two, and I believed it, I would invest right away.
So, for example, not pitching. My company has two divisions. One is innovative construction division, and second one is IT, AI, future of house. So, which one division could be easier to raise $30 million today?
You want to build a business because you want to build a business. You build it for yourself. The second, you build it for your customers because you want to solve a problem for your customers. And third, you solve it because a team came together and they're really enjoying building something. And that actually has business value. You never build a business for investors. If you build a business for yourself, if you build a business that works for customers, if you build a business that attracts really good employees, that automatically becomes a good investment. If you build a business for investors, then the other three may not come true. And that's a bad investment, and you're going to attract bad investors. Only bad investors will invest in such a company. So you never, ever want to think about investors. Will I build this business? Should I raise $30 million? Will it be a $30 million? All of those questions, take it out of the picture. You focus on, why do you want to build this business? Do you care? Which of the two divisions do you care more about? Do that. Kill the other one.
I think it depends upon which of those two businesses has a larger market. If you're going to take 30 million, the exit multiple on that in order to make your investors money has to be coming from the size of the market. So one of them is like a 50 million market and the other one is a 5 billion market. Then you would pick the one that has a larger market. Get that? So that your investors can make money out of that, and as you will make money out of that. VC will not invest in a smaller market for all of these reasons we're sort of articulating. So yeah, all the three things that he said, yes, very good, and then this.
Yeah, thank you very much. My short follow-up. So it's the same company. There's two divisions, and they both do the same business, just different parts. My question was about what would more attract investors, like positioning of the company, because it's the same ecosystem, and just two divisions, just part of the one ecosystem. What would attract investors?
What's more attractive to you? What's more attractive to your customers? What's more attractive to your employees? That is the most attractive investment for investors.
Okay, both.
He just answered the question.
Every investor is different.
If you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either of them. If you chase one rabbit, there's a chance that you will catch.
Yeah, but you see, every investment is different. If I saw a smaller market, but there was a higher margin business that was more easily protected, and there's going to be M&A in 3-4 years, and it's a higher reward for the risk, I wouldn't necessarily bet a bigger company. So every investor has different criteria for investing.
Hi, this is Rishikesh. Do you co-invest or syndicate with others? And if so, how does that work out? Are you trying to get the majority share together or just by yourself?
It completely depends on the deal. So, we all send each other stuff all the time, and sometimes it's because we know, so-and-so knows a little bit more about this particular domain, like they're really knowledgeable about, we're really knowledgeable about hydrogen, for example, so we might expect to get a call about that. And, we've been in a couple of deals where like it's us, one other VC, and then friends and family of the founder. We've been in others where there's several VCs, or we have had others where we do a round, and then 6 months later, another of the VCs in our network is like, oh, we love that so much, we've got to get in on it. So we do a C+. So very annoying answer, it depends.
Here's what you do. You start to pitch VCs, and then you would say, oh, I want to raise 5 million. And then a VC would say, well, we only do 250 in your stage. Then you're constantly pitching. If the VC likes you, then like Zoe said, we'll say, hey, friend VC, would you like to see this deal? And if that answer is yes, then maybe you get another 250 out of them. So you go like that from VC to VC, and some of them will come through your VC's referrals they will pick up the phone for you. And then you'll tell the next VC that, oh, by the way, I've got Preetha and Zoe on that. Would you like to talk to them? And or that VC will say, well, I'd like to talk to Preetha and Zoe and see why they are investing in you. And then one by one, little by little, the rest of your 5 million come together. And very often it's very important to both Preetha and probably Zoe, who else is in the deal? Because one of us is going to be on the board. We've got to trust the other person that when they're on the board, they will make similar decisions and will communicate with us, particularly if all of us, probably unlikely, will be on the board. So it starts with you, and then it kind of takes a life of its own. Does that help?
But we're not trying to push each other. Well, I suppose there sometimes it's a competitive deal and everybody wants to get in on that startup, and then once in a while, if you have that problem, God bless you, because you've done amazingly, and then you're going to have to make smart choices, and also you want to think about, if you're going to have a follow-on round at some point, which you almost certainly are. We have one investment that we joke that we're the poorest fund in it by $20 billion. It's very nice to have at least one big fish in the way to get your next round started as well. So you want to kind of mix and match a little bit.
Hi, good evening. I'm a fintech entrepreneur. Given all the buzz, all the hype around AI, is fintech now passé?
I think it's very difficult right now to get the money out of the fintech, because the previous rounds, especially pre-COVID, were kind of overinflated, and right now a lot of the fintech companies are downsizing in terms of the valuation in order for them to survive. And I think that the interest went down as far as the fintech non-NI, non-agentic AI type of settlements are not of interest to the Valley. Most of the fintech funding went to New York, to traditional, like a JP Morgan type of institutions and such.
I'm extremely bullish on fintech, insurtech, anything related to financial services. The global GDP is like $100 trillion. If you take one sliver at a time, the most advanced industry that has digital transformation is advertisement. About 30-40% of revenues in the advertisement industry comes from digital formats, like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all those kind of companies. And if you go to one vertical after the other inside that $100 trillion global GDP, and if you go into banking, if you go into insurance, and if you go into each one of those, even within that, like payments and personal finance management and various other sectors, within insurance, it will be P&C insurance and health insurance, and even within insurance, it's claims and distribution and underwriting. Each one of those, it's massive. And if you look at the top 20 companies in each of those verticals, none of them invest in R&D. That leaves the opportunity for innovation by founders to build new companies. The entire world is waiting for you to innovate. The banking sector is like $4 trillion, and insurance industry is like $5 or $6 trillion. That's just the revenue and gross written premium in these sectors. When you add assets that insurance companies manage, that's another $5-6 trillion. This is the backbone of our economy, 15-20% of our GDP, with no R&D.
We're also, all of those institutions, if you look, how big's their sustainability team? How big's their climate risk management team? It's like 3 guys, and it's usually 3 gals. And there is a risk management issue coming our way with climate that is horrendous and that we are completely unprepared for. So yeah, if someone could come and solve that issue of how is insurance and how should banking respond to climate change, there's a bottomless pit of money somewhere there, but no one has figured it out fully yet.
Kopi, if you were building a fintech company today, what would you build?
If I were that smart, I'd be a founder.
My name is Alex. Thank you for a fantastic discussion. So let's put it this way. We're talking right now about a biotech company, which is small, which is building the AI-based product. What would be the key evaluation points that you would assess, knowing that they don't have IP for this product yet, and they don't have customers for this product yet because they're building it? How to succeed in the evaluation process for such a startup?
You don't have a product, you have a product.
It's being built.
Okay, you don't have a product, You don't have customers,
for this product.
well, which is being built. And then what do you have? A cocktail napkin?
So we need money to accelerate the build up to be the first to roll out this product.
Friends and family, angels, foundations. That's where I'd go first.
Okay. Thank you.
When you about health tech, life science companies, SBIR,
SBIR, grants. Yes, thank you.
Hi everyone. So my name is Abhishek. I have this question for Gopi. So when you mentioned that Steve Jobs didn't ask everybody what they wanted and he just created, right? And I completely agree to that. Even Mr. Henry Ford, if he would have asked everybody what they wanted, people would have said fast horses, right? So when you said that you kind of want to work with the around the idea, what exactly would you be looking for? Would you be looking at the idea itself or the market size, or like how would you assess?
It's the combination of the founder and the idea that matters. The example that I gave, Steve Jobs building the products at Apple, he was a product visionary and he was able to build those products. He would not have been able to execute on another idea, different idea, that was not aligned with his philosophy of the world. And that's what I look for. The conversations I have with founders to see, is this your life's mission? Is this where you want to spend the next 5-10 years? Is this the problem you want to solve? Why do you care about this problem? And is this problem solved by you best because you have the right experiences, you have first-hand experience dealing with troubles in this space? Why does it matter that this is the right time for all of this to come together? That is the conversation I try to have. And that can be different from different companies. And if Steve, imagine if we all had conversation with Steve at seed stage building Apple, he would have come in saying, I know exactly what the world needs, and that's what I'm going to build. And other founders have different ways of doing that. So if we split the world into two, product market fit before and product market fit after, post product market fit and pre-product market fit. Product market fit is when you have a bunch of customers and they love your product and there's a very strong fit. And now what you need to do is throw more fuel on the fire and grow. So before product market fit is, do you have a minimum viable product? Do you have the first customer? Do you have any revenue at all, any traction? Even before that, do you have an architecture for what you want to build? Do you have a team that has come together? So you can keep going earlier and earlier stages. I have invested in founders, I've committed to investing in founders while they were still in their jobs. They hadn't quit their company. They incorporated the company and I wrote the check the next day. That can also happen. So how early can you go? As early as incorporation. And how late can you go is like $1 million, $2 million in revenue is too late for me.
So I would not look at it that way. Some of you may have forgotten the old story of 40 years ago when these two hikers were hiking in the mountains and a grizzly bear shows up and one of them starts putting on his running shoes and the other guy says, you can't outrun the bear with your running shoes. Yeah, but I could outrun you. The fact is, there are thousands of companies looking for money. So it's not how you are, it's how you are compared to everybody else, because we all look at all these factors.
I think we did a fireside with Scott Kapoor from Andreessen, and he said basically for them it boils down to like three things, or for him personally. Do they think it's a good idea? Do they think that this could be a really big company? And thirdly, do they think that entrepreneur can execute on that idea? Which I think sort of encapsulates everything that you were saying. Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Here's your last chance. Going once, going twice. Well, let's give it up for our panel. Ladies and gentlemen, stay in your seats. It's what you've all been waiting for, the raffle drawing. So let's start with the first prize. Zach, can you do me a favor? Drum roll. There's the drum. Drum right there. Good. All right. So first week we have the Everything Store, Jeff Bezos, and the Age of Amazon. The winner is Melody. Do the honor.
All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, I got Annie Nealon.
Going once, go twice. Come on down. Here we go. Smile for the camera. All right. So next we have Steve Jobs, the autobiography of Walter Isaacson. By the way, these books are all from my personal library. You should only get rid of them. Gopi. Winner is Gregory. Come on down. Now, if you're reading. Oh, thank you.
We're just talking about Steve Jobs.
All right, so next prize from Yana from New York Life. What's the prize?
Seas candies.
Seas candy. Zoe, you want to do the honors? No bias.
Yeah.
And winner is
Ava Renfrew.
Ava. Come on down. Nice. So, all right. So next prize is $25 gift card. Jessica. So this is from Jessica and Creative Jolie AI. The winner is Paul. Paul, you don't want to do it? Oh, you got the hot hand. Paul.
Well, let me reach right now.
And winner is
Hold on. Steve Jobs. No, I'm kidding.
Steve.
Edward Liu.
Edward. Come on down. $25 gift card, courtesy of Creative AI. Okay, so this gift card is from Melissa from Atidon. Pratha. Winner is, by the way, two people are, well,
Surabhi.
come on down. So how you like that? So we got two people being funded tonight. So now we have two grand prizes. I did IPO's promotional partner for the Tech Equity AI conference at the Computer History Museum, November 7th, 8th. It's a $695 ticket. I have two. Arthur. The winner is, well, you do it one. You do one. The winner is, drum roll.
Abhishek. Abhishek?
Abhishek who? Come on down. That's more than one. It's John Smith. Congrats. So email me and I'll get sent you with a second. Yeah, close the camera. All right. So we have one more ticket for the Roger. You want to do the honors? You usually don't have a chance this time, do you? So yeah, a free ticket to the Tech Equity AI conference, November 7th and 8th. Roger, the winner is
Shaylee Ghost.
Shaylee, going once. Oh, come on down. Applause.
You notice the women are winning the men.
It's about time, though.
You should come to that panel on the 30th.
Okay.
Big old numbers.
So let's give it up again for our panel. Applause. Let's give it up for Roger, our awesome moderator. Let's give it up for Snell and Wilmer and all our sponsors. Applause. Let's give it up for our video team and our event team. Applause. Let's give it up for our audience. Applause. Let's give it up for me. Applause. So if this were a normal law firm, I would say we need to leave the building in 20 minutes. This is not a normal law firm. This is Snell and Wilmer. So we can stay here all night. We've got pumpkin pie. Stick around for the after party. Talk to our panelists. Get Gopi's number and text him tonight at 10:15. So thanks for coming. See you next time.
Just before you go,
Before
on the back of your flyer, we're having an all-female VC panel and founders. So we're mixing it up. 3 founders and 3 female VCs. We did this about 6 weeks ago. So if you know any female founders, we ask the really hard questions that really are applicable to female founders. And
It's October 30th. They'll be able to meet at site. Again, October 31st, Halloween night. You're all invited. Steve Jobs Halloween block party. Wear a costume. See you there. Thanks for coming.